to National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. We're coming to you live on WLIB 1190 AM in New York. We're streaming to you across the country on a number of platforms, including Facebook and nationalactionnetwork.net. We are live right here in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street. Call somebody. Tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. We're so pleased that we're with you on this Saturday morning, because if it's Saturday, this is where the action is. Our president and founder is the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. Chairman of our board is Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, senior pastor at Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York. I'm Attorney Michael Hardy. Will be with you throughout the broadcast this morning. We are so pleased to have with us today for our inspirational word segment the Reverend Julian LaRosa Cooper, senior pastor at St. James AME Church in Manalapan, New Jersey. Today is Saturday, so you know our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, is in the house. And if it's today, that means our dear sister, Katrina Jefferson, will be here. She's the coordinator here at the House of Justice, also special liaison to President Reverend Al Sharpton, President of National Action Network, and she will be here to ask you what's on your mind. That's right, she wants to know what you are thinking about, because there is so much going on around the world, in your community, wherever you are, that there should be something that's on your mind that you want to share with Katrina Jefferson. So you want to call somebody, tell them the action is on the air. The Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton is in the house and getting ready to come to you. Brothers and sisters, we always remind you that the NAN Youth Huddle will be on Monday, August 29th, live at the House of Justice Auditorium beginning at 6 p.m. Spread the word and get into the action with our youngest and brightest dreamers of today and leaders of tomorrow. For more information on the Youth Huddle experience, you can call 877-626-4651 or email nanyouthhuddle@gmail.com. Also, today is Saturday, tomorrow Sunday, 5 p.m. today, 5 p.m. tomorrow Sunday. You want to make sure that you're tuning in to MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. That's MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Today, Saturday, 5 p.m. Tomorrow, Sunday at 5 p.m. You want to make sure you tune in and be with MSNBC's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton on Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Right now, brothers and sisters, our dear sister, Patrice Perry, has some additional information to you. Patrice coordinates a little bit of everything here at National Action Network, and she's going to come right now and coordinate some information for you.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to another Saturday Action Rally with National Action Network. Here is some information to keep you in the know. NAN applauds the Biden administration's student debt cancellation, but more must be done. National Action Network praised the Biden administration decision this week to eliminate $10,000 in student debt for borrowers earning $125,000 or less, but caution that much more should be done, particularly to assist Black Americans saddled with college debt. Today's announcement opens the door for a long overdue conversation about building wealth, said Ebony Riley, the Senior Vice President of Policy and Strategic Partnerships for NAN. Canceling student debt is a cornerstone of a comprehensive vision that helps everyone. Not acting would have kept another generation from reaching their full potential because of the crushing debt they took on in hopes of a greater opportunity. Black households carry more student debt regardless of their incomes after graduation. Approximately 1 in 4 Black African Americans have negative net worth, meaning their total debt exceeds their total assets. The administration expects the first $10,000 of debt relief will move over 500,000 Black Americans from a negative to positive net worth. While this is undoubtedly a historic day, there is still more work to do. This 125,000 income cap will leave a large amount of the population behind, especially in an era of high inflation. A Black doctor or attorney who earns above the cap could very well have six-figure student debt. Low levels of cancellation might leave already distressed Black borrowers struggling with repayment. Those who may qualify for loan forgiveness after several years of working in the public service field through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program still face loan delays when applying. Canceling 50,000 of student loans could eliminate a substantial amount of student loan debt for tens of millions of borrowers, and in some cases, all of their debt. Student debt fingers for decades. Some students, loan borrowers, are having the Social Security checks garnished. Solutions should include the entirety of the issue. We can call on Congress to provide relief for passing legislation, further build upon the president's actions. President Biden's actions follow through on a campaign promise that will hopefully allow many Americans to build wealth, said Reverend Sharpton. This is hopefully the first step in a long journey toward getting millions of Americans out of the debt that has prevented them from becoming empowered. It is incumbent upon the President and Congress to work together to cancel more student debt, as well as find new opportunities for people to earn and succeed. NAN launches chapter drive across the nation. National Action Network chapters will launch a membership drive starting Saturday, August 27th through Wednesday, August 31st. From Los Angeles, California to Louisville, Kentucky, NAN chapters around the nation will hold a number of events over the next few days to mobilize membership and to begin planning for next year's celebration, marking the 60th anniversary of the historic March on Washington, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. As the nation gears up for the 2022 midterm elections and the 2024 presidential election, NAN will work hard to register voters and educate the public on civil rights issues. Log onto our website to learn more and to find out how to get in on the action. Make your voice heard. Let us remain focused and committed on the work that still must be done to ensure that all Americans have access to the American dream. Encourage your family and your friends to become a member of the National Action Network today. Welcome to all of you who have tuned in and joined us via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and also live on Facebook at National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us, or if you are not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN and invite you to join us and get into the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call us right now, 877-626-4651, or text the word NAN to 59769. Welcome.
All right, thank you for that. Right now, brothers and sisters, it's Katrina Jefferson, liaison to the NAN president. She wants to know what's on your mind. Good morning.
Good morning, Attorney Hardy, and good morning to each and every one of you who are here live here at the House of Justice, to those that are watching by way of live streaming on our Facebook page, or our Instagram, or on the website, and to those that are listening by way of WLIB 1190 AM, welcome to another weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind, where you, the community, You, the people, have the opportunity to interact with the National Action Network by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. Good morning. Come forward for me here in the House of Justice. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind today.
Good morning. My name is Brenda Ricketts. I'm from Yonkers, New York. And what's on my mind is Sister Catherine Nixon. I visited Miss Nixon this week. She's in the Harlem nursing home at 30 West 138th Street. She sends her greetings to everybody at NAN, and I would like NAN members to visit Miss Nixon. I'm asking, especially the Political Action Committee members, to stop by and say hello to Miss Nixon. She has been a faithful member of the committee for years, and she deserves our attention. She'll be 102 on September 9th.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, Miss Nixon is one of our most senior National Action Network members, and have been here since the very beginning and very outspoken. And so we'll make sure to have that information available here at the House of Justice to those that are interested in visiting her here in Harlem. Good morning. Give us your name. Let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind.
Good day, everybody, and God bless everybody. My name is Sister Reverend Word. I'm from heaven, born in Harlem. I'm 71 years old and new, and I'm a National Action Network lifetime member. What's on my mind, like usual, is Bible scriptures. And one thing for sure, anyone who wants to do what's peacefully correct and right to the glory of God needs support. Even if it's from one person, they need support. They need to be constantly encouraged to stay faithful in whatever they know is peacefully correct to do to the glory of God. So I want to, again, there's going to be a lot of repetition on this level, but National Action Network includes very supportive people. I'm one of them. So wherever you're listening, join National Action Network, connect with the chapters, and I guarantee you, you will find at least one or two or maybe even more people that will support you in your efforts to do what's peacefully correct. And this goes out particularly to people who are in family with students. They need to join National Action Network. The young people need to join because sometimes they don't get the support they need when they want to do correct, get good grades, they get talked down to because of that. Join National Action Network. You'll get support and get encouraged because education is important. Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Good morning. Give us your name. Let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind today.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Gormanville, and I'm born in Brooklyn, live in Queens. And I'd like to talk about the elite finding a new way to perpetuate slavery. There's something called gang stalking, where contractors are coming into our communities and using technology to experiment on the public. There are three types of technologies. One is V2K, the other one is AI, and the other one is synthetic telepathy. And they can actually have remote access to your body through what's called your brain signature.
Okay, and thank you so much for sharing that today. You want to leave your information? Absolutely, where they can contact if they're interested in hearing more about that.
I created a not-for-profit. It's called Lead for Humanity, and my phone number is 917-664-3119. I'm very thankful to the National Action Network because the last times I came here, people have contacted me that are going through this. And feel free to call me. Again, 917-664-3119. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Good morning. Give us your name. Let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind today.
Good morning. I'm from the Bronx, Sandra Henson. What's on my mind is when I look at the news and I see these children attacking people, those that are driving, stay in your car. When somebody is trying to attack you, and just give the location so the police could come to help you. Don't get out your car, confront people that are angry or evil. And even with them children that got out the car in Brooklyn, had that taxi driver in there, they hurt him and they killed him. We have to stop this with our children. All parents that saying that my children are not out there doing wrong. They are doing wrong. But y'all that drive, stay in your car and protect yourself. Your car is the protector over you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And yes, let's definitely keep our youth and young people in our thoughts and prayers, sending them every bit of positive energy. We've seen an uptick in incidents occurring here in New York City, and I know that's certainly the same across the country. And so we want to keep our youth, our young people in our prayers, and let's come together to create or to develop solutions that will assist those that are in need. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind.
Okay, my name is Tony Veer. I'm originally from the Bronx. I live in Lower Manhattan now. But what I've been present to is the power of leadership. And I know that leadership is a big part of this organization and what we have to create. But what I want to say is that most people don't realize that leadership is not a burden, it's a joy. The reason why it's a joy is when you do effective leadership, you're having things go your way. And so why would you resist wanting to have things go your way, even though people might try to put burdens on you, they may try to control you, manipulate you, and all of that, but when you're really effective as a leader, everybody does what you say. And so I want to bring the concept of leadership to this place that everyone in here is a leader. So I want you to know that you can have life go your way all day, every day, be a leader, and get present to the joy, the love, the appreciation of leadership. I'm complete.
Thank you so much. We're going to close this weekend's conversation of what's on your mind with one of Reverend Sharpton's inspirational messages. If you follow him on social media, then you know he does one each and every morning before his workout, during the workout, and after. And this one is an excerpt from his message this morning. It's Saturday morning. You have another day. The first thing I want you to do is get craziness out of your head. Clear your head. Know you are here today, yesterday's gone, and tomorrow is not promised. All you have is today. You have the right now, and you've got to tell yourself, I'm going to use the right now to do what I need to do to advance where I'm going and where I'm headed and who I am evolving into. All I have is the right now, so use that. I made mistakes in the past, and I've done great things in the past. None of it can I live in right now. Stop polluting your self-talk and stop wasting your right now. And that concludes another weekend's conversation of what's on your mind. Keep in mind everything you heard here were simply the thoughts and the viewpoints of the contributors and do not reflect those of the National Action Network directly. And you may interact with us 24 hours a day by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651, and that's if you can't get here live in person. Back to you, Attorney Hardy.
All right, thank you, Katrina Jefferson, for what's on your mind. And right now, what's on my mind is taking us in the house. That's right. In the House is all about the work of the committees here at National Action Network, and we are pleased to have with us this morning for our In the House segment, Thomas Carswell of the Men's Auxiliary. Let's give him a welcome.
Thank you, Attorney Hardy, for that introduction. First and foremost, I would like to thank our leader, the courageous and fearless Honorable Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, for affording me the opportunity to stand here at the same podium that he speaks from, and so many other distinguished African Americans have spoken from. It's an honor for me to be standing here. My name is Thomas Carswell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Men's Auxiliary. My chairman is Mr. Leonard Bentley. I will be addressing the in-house segment of the Men's Auxiliary Committee. our mission statement is as follows. With a focus on men and boys, the men of the National Action Network invite you to join the National Action Network Committee. We need our participation, your participation, to be able to provide a strong male presence to the youth in our larger community. We work in the community to uplift our people so that all may know justice and our children may know peace. We expect all members of National Action Network Men's Auxiliary Committee to provide the example of a successful life in community and family. Members are asked to provide services to National Action Network and our larger community. Members commit ourselves to working together to accomplish agreed upon tasks that uplift us all. Contact information for the Men's Auxiliary Committee. The phone number is 877-626-4651, or you may call 212-690-3070 and ask to get in contact with the Men's Auxiliary Committee. Email to reach our local chapter Men's Auxiliary Committee is NAN, N-A-N, MAC, M-A-C, NYC @gmail.com. In collaboration with National Action Network New York City Harlem chapter, our local chapter Men's Auxiliary Committee is actively contributing to the National Action Network float for the African American Day Parade that is scheduled to occur Sunday, September the 18th, 2022. The Men's Auxiliary Committee is actively participating with Ms. Gwen Carr in the Eric Garner College Scholarship Fund Foundation fundraiser and raising funds to help our youth to attend college. The National Action Network Auxiliary Committee is located at 106 West 145th Street in Harlem, New York. We invite you to join our local chapter Men's Auxiliary Committee Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. For more information, please contact 877-626-6451. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Thomas Coswell, for bringing us in the house here at National Action Network, the committee's work that we do here. Right now, brothers and sisters, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
I know the Lord will make a way. Oh, yes, He will. I know the Lord will make a way. Oh, yes, He will. Oh, He'll make a way for me.
musical director, accompanied by Chris Garland. Brothers and sisters, we are pleased to have with us the senator from the great state of New York, New York State Senator, represents the 21st District Senatorial District in the great borough of Brooklyn, and always dapper, Senator Kevin Parker.
Good morning, National Action Network. How's everybody doing? Again, I'm State Senator Kevin Parker. I represent the 21st District in Brooklyn, which currently is Flatbush and East Flatbush, Midwood, Ditmas Park, Windsor Terrace, Park Slope, and a little bit of Sunset Park. And Michael, thank you very much for that generous introduction. I'm glad you didn't go further. Back in June, when I was doing graduations for schools, I went to one of the schools. They did a whole big introduction of me, and they were like, oh, you used to work for Una Clark in the city council, you used to work for Nick Perry in the state assembly, you used to work for Hillary Clinton in her campaign, you used to work for Carl McCall in the state controller's office. And then a little girl stood up and said, what's the matter, mister, you can't keep a job? And so you never know how these introductions are gonna go. But to God be the glory, and I'm just so happy to be here again at National Action Network on your Saturday morning. Let me just give my thanks to Reverend Sharpton for his friendship, for his mentorship, for his leadership in our community, and certainly his wonderful family, certainly anchored by the lovely and talented Mr. Sharpton. How's everything going? Good to see you, my constituent. There's been so much going on, and I really am here as part of a thank you tour. As many of you know, we had a Democratic primary on this past Tuesday, August 23rd. There was a spirited one here in Harlem, but we had a number of them in Brooklyn as well. Because of some mishaps with redistricting, they disembodied the June primary and then had the members of Congress and the members of the state Senate run separately on August 23rd, and in that race I was victorious, and again, thank God. And certainly could not have done it without a number of people, Anthony and a number of people who are here in the audience, and people who have been supporters and friends and help guide this career. I just want to give a little bit of context and just understand how important electoral politics is, because a lot of times we look at it and it all works together, right? And I think that sometimes we do ourselves a disservice by creating a false dichotomy between protest and activism and electoral politics. We need each other. We need each other. They both have to, one hand can't clap, right? And so we need each other for things to go on. But things have changed a great deal since I've started the Senate 20 years ago. My election in 2002, even before I took the oath of office in 2003, ushered in David Paterson to be the minority leader of the New York State Senate. David Paterson from right here in Harlem, who then went on to become the lieutenant governor and then eventually the governor. His you can clap for David Paterson, that's a big deal, because y'all did that, right? But that also ushered in a 20-year stint, that is 2 decades of black leadership in the Senate. Because we went from David Paterson to Malcolm Smith from Queens to John Sampson from Brooklyn, and now Andrea Stewart-Cousins, my leader, who is the first woman to run a legislative conference in the state of New York. That's huge, right? And so for 20 years, I've reported to a black leader, and I'm the whip, as I indicated, as well as the chair of the Energy and Telecommunications Committee. And as the whip, I'm the leader's whip, right? And so that leadership has been critical in terms of how we've operated, because we've not only had leadership, but we went from David Paterson as the Democratic minority leader to now having a supermajority, and Andrea Stewart-Cousins being the majority leader of a super conference, right? Of having more senators in the Democratic conference than any other conference has ever had in the Senate in the history of the state of New York. We've never had a supermajority before. And so that's been important in terms of the work that we have done. And so we were able to flip the Senate not once, but twice. Right? When I first got there, people used to laugh at me running into the state. They were like, why do you want to be in the minority? And I was like, no, we're going to flip the Senate. And they laughed at me because for 70 years, we hadn't been able to do it. And with the help of people in this room and people around the state, we were able to do it not once, but twice. And that's right. Give yourselves a round of applause. And that has made a difference in terms of the historical work that we've been able to do in terms of rent control. It's been important in terms of the historical work we have done around, gun control. The New York State, despite the fact that we still have problems and a long way to go, is literally the third safest state as it relates to gun violence. Right? And I'll give you an example. Right after the Supreme Court unadvisedly overturned our concealed carry law here in the city of New York, we actually went right back to Albany and we passed a piece of legislation that made it not necessarily about tougher, but just made it more responsible in terms of people getting gun training, having to store their weapons and their ammo in particular areas, about the places that you can conceal carry, right, in the city of New York, and making sure that it made sense within the context of our city. And we also did background checks on terms of people's social media in order to make sure that they got guns, right? And both those pieces of legislation were actually pieces of legislation I wrote. The second one around social media background checks was actually an idea I got and worked with Eric Adams when he was the borough president, our now mayor, right? And so Eric has his eyes on the prize as it relates to safety and particularly making sure that our communities are safe. We've done what we needed to do in terms of codifying a woman's right to choose here in the state of New York, which is absolutely critical and really, really big. And so we've become a sanctuary state, not just for immigration, but also for women who are looking for health care. And I'm just very proud of that work. And we have, as my colleague, Senator Myrie says, we have gone from worst to first as it relates to the issue of protecting voting rights. And in fact, earlier this summer, we actually signed into law, the governor signed into law a bill that we passed in the Assembly and the Senate, championed by Latrice Walker from Brooklyn and my colleague in the Senate, Zelma Myrie, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, which essentially creates pre-clearances similar to what they used to do on the federal level, and outlining what our rights are and to make sure that everybody has a right and an ability, right, to get to the polls and vote. And those things I think have been absolutely critical. And I have been very proud of my own record, particularly as the chairman of the Energy and Telecommunications Committee, and leading the fight around climate change and creating a clean energy economy. We have done a lot of really big work, including negotiating what was called the CLCPA, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, which is the most audacious and bold set of goals around climate in the entire country. No one has goals that are as ambitious as ours are, and we're on track to meet them. This summer, the governor signed two of my bills into law. One that incentivizes thermal heat and using thermal heat in terms of heating homes as a way to reduce electrical costs, and the same for energy-rich appliances to make sure that the energy-efficient appliances are available and that those are the ones that we're primarily using here in the state of New York. But what also was very proud that in addition to the CLCPA, we passed alongside of it a law that I wrote around environmental justice. And it was an environmental justice review panel, because what we know, as much as we typically think of, and I know this is the case, we think of saving the earth and conservation as white people's issue, but the reality is that most of the environmental infractions that happen Black and Latino communities. That's why you see the high levels of asthma and cancer, lack of water. All of those things are related, and so this work around protecting the earth must be ours, because those of us who know ourselves as the original people of this earth, right, understand that we were the first shepherds and the first caretakers of this planet, right? We began in the Nile Valley, writing that looked like water and trees and plants and animals, that the Europeans call meduneter, that we called, the Europeans call hieroglyphics that we call meduneter, right? In the Kemet Valley, we understood and we spoke to nature, and we understood that the beekeeper crown had this little swirly thing on the front of it that was literally the tongue of a bee. That the people in Kemet knew what the tongue of. Have anybody here seen the tongue of a bee before? I ain't seen one. But the people in Kemet apparently knew what it looked like because they were able to put it on the crown of their king to talk about cooperation and how we should work together. And that cooperation has to happen both with human beings, but also with our planet, with our nature, with our environment. And so I ask us all to continue as we work forward to continue to think globally, but act locally to make sure that we are protecting our communities. I have a piece of legislation I'm now waiting for the governor to sign into law that is a heat index study. We had 2 big heat waves this summer. Anybody remember that? Right? Yeah. I was actually happy for it because I lost 10 pounds from sweating. I needed that. But what we are finding with these studies is that it is somewhere between 10 and 20 degrees hotter in Black and Latino communities in the inner city than there is other places. So when you're seeing, in Prospect Park, it's 100 degrees, that means in Harlem and in the Bushwick projects where I grew up, it's probably 108, 110, 112. Right? And that has, again, effects on people's health. And so we have to really, again, understand the impacts of global warming, of climate change, of our carbon footprint and what it has on us. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done as we go forward. And I'm now in a race with the same socialists that try to challenge me in the Democratic primary for the general election on the Working Families Party line. And so I hope to have all of your support as we go forward in trying to win this general election. Because we really have to go back and build senior housing. We need to make sure that we are addressing a lot of the issues around building out the green collar economy and building full-time jobs at a living wage with benefits for our community. There's a lot of work that needs to happen around housing, particularly home ownership, and also making sure that we find ways to reduce rents and create what I call workforce housing. In my district, I can't speak for other places in my district, I have nurses married to teachers who can't find places to live, and social workers married to transit workers who can't find places to live. And so we need workforce housing and make sure that people who serve our city and serve our communities can afford to live in those actual communities. And so that's why I'm running for re-election, and I've been so fortunate to have your support and looking forward to the continued work that we have together in order to make both our city and our state the best possible place for us to live. National Action Network, remember, you are the people who were here the day before yesterday, and you're going to be the people who are going to be here the day after tomorrow. So all of us continue to bring good into the world and let no good be lost. God bless you, and thank you for this opportunity.
All right, State Senator Kevin Parker. He used to work for Hillary Clinton, and he worked for Una Clark, and he worked for Carl McCall, and he won his primary, so it looks like he will continue to work for the people of the state of New York. Right now, once again, brothers and sisters, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson.
I just want to praise you forever and ever and ever for all you've done for me. Blessing and glory and honor, they all belong to you. Thank you, Jesus, for
our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, accompanied by Chris Garland. Brothers and sisters, it is our honor and privilege to have today for our Inspirational Word segment, the Reverend Julian LaRosa Cooper, Senior Pastor at the St. James AME Church in Malapin, New Jersey, if I said that right. Let's welcome.
Amen, Attorney Harvey. First, give honor to God and to his Son, Christ Jesus, and to the Holy Spirit that dwells among us in this place. To the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, the angel of the National Action Network, the icon of social justice, to the Reverend Dr. Franklin Richardson, the Board of Trustees here, and to all you saints that are assembled in this place, I greet you in Jesus' joy. I have an inspirational word for you this morning. This inspirational word that I have for you this morning, I titled it, Sometimes You Gotta Let It Go. Sometimes you gotta let it go. And so I want to take you to the book of Philippians. Gonna go to chapter 3, verse 13, and it reads as follows. Brethren, I count it not myself to have apprehension, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto things which are before. And so this morning, just for a little minute, if we are ever going to get to where God wants us to be, we gotta let go of the past. Let me start this message by saying every Christian has a divine destiny. God has a plan and purpose for our lives. One of the dictionaries defined definition for destiny as which it is happened is for a person, one lot, what becomes of a person. For the purpose of this message, I want to define the destiny. Everyone, God wants to have a destiny for you in your life. God has a plan and God has a purpose designed just for you. It does not matter about your bank account. It does not matter how good you look. It does not matter where you live, but God has a divine destiny for your life. Amen. No matter about your social status, no matter how rich you are, but God has a destiny for your life. However, there are some things you must do in order for you to walk in the purpose that God has designed for you. Allow me just to share a few things that will help you reach that destination. The first step is you're going to have to walk into your purpose and walk into the destiny that God has for you. But in order for you to do that, you got to let some things go. You can't hold on to the past and look to the future and to where God wants you to be because you're still holding on to yesterday. But God's purpose for your life is better for tomorrow than yesterday. And all of us done had some bad times in our life. I understand that, but I'm here to tell you this morning, I'm here to put in your spirit this morning, better days are yet before you. Allow me to use it in young people's language. I'm trying to be on my best game today. And what Paul is trying to tell us is that if we're going to walk in purpose, that we're going to have to let some stuff go. And when I say let some stuff go, sometimes you got to let some people go.
Some folk that's in your life just have toxic spirit, don't have no act right in their life. You gotta let them go. Because God didn't put everybody to go to the destiny with you. Sometimes that friend Betty Lou and Susan and Alon, all of them, you gotta let them go. Because they're holding you back for what blessings God has before you. I don't care how long it was or how bad it was, or sooner or later, just think about this for just a moment. It's hard to forget the past. I understand that, because the human side of us, something's going to remind us, whether it was good or bad, of what happened. Or if it was a person, something somebody else do, they may look like them or something, but it's going to remind us of what the past was. But God don't want us to stay there. But what the Bible means is, when I say forget those things which are behind you, the Bible tells us no longer to be influenced or infected by the past. That means I gotta let it go. When Joseph was talking to his brother, he said that I am not going to allow my past, because my past would allow me to hate you. But I'm going to help you live. I'm going to bless you. Despite that you tried to kill me, despite that you put stumbling blocks in my way, I'm going to love you. Do I have any Joseph spirits in the place this morning? Let me drop something on you this morning. Folk, God knows when folk are mistreating you or not treating you right and treating you like you're nobody. But I'm here to tell you, God said everybody in this building is somebody. Despite what folk are trying to say, despite the mistreatment you got, but God sees everything. But God can take every evil thing that folk are trying to bring to you and turn it into masterpieces. God could take your broken life and turn it into great things. He can take whatever the haters tried to say about you, whatever things they tried to put in your way, God can remove it and use it for good. I'm talking to some folks that's looking for a breakthrough this morning, but you gotta let it go. But here is the problem. Too many of us are shackled by the past. You can't move forward continuing to look back in the rearview mirror. That's why the windshield is so big, because there's grand opportunities in the windshield, not in the rearview mirror. Can I get a witness this morning? God's trying to get you to your real love. He's trying to get you to your destination. He's trying to uplift you. He's trying to get you that job you want. He's trying to fix that broken relationship. He's trying to elevate you to a place you need to be. So don't get caught up in yesterday's mysteries. Don't get caught in yesterday's past, because you got to let it go. And so if you don't remember nothing this morning, I want you to remember, I got to let it go. I want you to shake your neighbor. Let it go. Paul said you got to let it go. I got to let it go. Because the devil wants to keep you back in the yesterday. But God wants you looking forward to tomorrow. He wants you to be excited about what's to come and where you're going. You got to let it go. You got to let go of lies, let go of hurt, let go of pain. Great music artist put it this way. He said it like Teddy Pendergrass. He said, looking back over the years, I guess I had shedded some tears. I told myself time and time, I'm gonna win. But I'm not losing again, because I think I better let it go. And so I'm telling you this morning, you gotta let it go.
God bless you. May heaven smile upon you.
Reverend Julia LaRosa Cooper, St. James AME. All right, brothers and sisters, right now, the Change Ensemble. Change Ensemble, brothers and sisters, under the direction of Minister Tyrone Richardson. Right now, I want you to get on your feet if you're at home. Put your hands together for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. 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 Fist bump the person next to you. Tell them you love them. years ago, a man and a husband and a wife came to Harlem, and it was a time that people were trying to own and operate their own businesses. They opened a little counter restaurant on 7th Avenue. Only had a little counter, and people would come, but sometimes you gotta use what you got to get what you want. And they knew how to cook, and they knew how to cook better than most. And they started on that little counter building a soul food restaurant. And they blew up so they could move up the block, and they kept moving. And now, 60 years later, presidents and presidential candidates and mayors comes to Sylvia Woods Restaurant. They do stories in magazines and profiles on television. They had no idea when they were coming from South Carolina that they would become one of the tourist spots in what was the great era of Harlem that they're trying to bring down. But the one thing they won't move is what that little black woman, Sylvia Woods, and her husband did on that corner. I remember the night that I brought President Barack Obama there, and he hugged Sylvia. Even he knew of her, even because he had gone to school here in New York. And she said, I never thought the soon-to-be President Obama would know who I was, but if you hold on, even if you don't have nothing but collard greens and rice, your change will come. Your change will come. Your change. Many of you know that a man that became like a father to me, my father left when I was young. A man that became like a father to me was the godfather of Soul, James Brown. And I remember in the late 70s, James Brown, like many artists, got into serious tax trouble when you come out of forced segregation and forced situations where you don't have the management skills that others have, you're gonna run into problems. And I remember I would go down in the late 70s and he'd be fighting the tax people and be always, they'd put a lien on this and a lien on that and try to take his cars, and we'd be fighting with them and working out payment plans. But about 2 years after he died, I was riding with his daughters. We were going to an event to memorialize him. And I touched Deanna and said, look at there. And she said, what? I said, you didn't realize this. You didn't tell me this. We talk often. She said, I didn't tell you what, Reverend? I said, the internal revenue in Augusta, Georgia is now on James Brown Boulevard. They had changed the name of the street in honor of James Brown. I went there to unveil the statue when he was alive. But who would have ever thought when they was harassing him and hunting him down, that one day everybody in Augusta that paid their taxes had to send the envelope to the street named after James Brown. If you keep on going, your change will come. Your change will come. Your change. Do you believe that? Your change will come. Oh, your change. Oh, change will. Oh. National Action Network Change Ensemble. Give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally for you that are here in the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. And for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and for you that are watching us on various platforms, we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning to give our report on where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy. Our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. And if you don't mind, give him a drummer some. Give Brother Chris some. Certainly we're very honored and happy to have with us this morning State Senator Kevin Parker. Give him another hand. And I've known Kevin Parker, we go back decades. And he's always been one that would stand up with us and for us and for his community. And I was glad this morning as he ran down some of the legislative challenges and victories in Albany that we must continue. Let me tell you something. Too many of us have a minority complex. So when he was talking about when he went into the state senate and he said one day they would be the majority, it was laughed at. What is worse than being in the minority is to be in the majority with a minority complex. Worse than slavery, it was bad enough we were enslaved. What's worse is we adjusted to being enslaved.
All right, all right.
Once somebody can make you comfortable with being a minority, with being less, then that's on you. There were some folk after they won the Civil Rights Act still wasn't sat in the back of the bus. Let's welcome our Impact TV family joining us around the country. So one of the things that I felt that was so important about what Senator Parker is saying with the New York State Senate and with our Majority Leader, Senator Andrea Cousins Stewart, who is often here when she can, is they are not only in the majority, but they're behaving in a majority way, which has reformed some of the criminal justice, even taken flack. And let me tell you something, nobody has shown stronger leadership in my lifetime than Andrea Stewart Cousins up in Albany. Now, it is popular to beat up on politicians. And it's very easy. That's an easy, cheap shot that you always can take a shot at. They ain't doing nothing. Folk call all the time, I'm not voting because they ain't doing nothing. Well, first of all, you ain't doing nothing if you ain't voting. Let's start with who ain't doing nothing. They ain't doing nothing, so you gonna match them and do nothing. And that makes sense to you. How is anybody that you claim gonna do something if you don't vote to get them in? And let me tell you something else, folks that are against your interests are not mad at you for not voting, they glad. Because they can keep putting in folk that will put in legislation that is against your interest. All this money they spending to try and stop you from voting. All of these tricks they're trying with legislators all over the country to change voting laws. And you gonna get up and volunteer. You ain't got to do no trick for me. I'm gonna trick myself. That's why when Senator Parker was running down these things affect folks' lives, the legislation they pass, and what is important. So I want to thank him for coming and giving us that. I thank him for his leadership and his diligence. Give another hand, Senator Kevin Parker. And he won his primary the other night. And I also want to thank Reverend Cooper, Reverend Julian La Rosa Cooper, who gave us our inspirational word, St. James Church. And the reason I came out late is I listening to him. About 3 folk I had to call and tell him I got to let you go. He told me what to do. I was in the back dialing about 3 folk I knew. Any preacher could go from St. Paul to Teddy Pendergrass, know what he's doing. Give him another hand, Reverend Cooper. Let me say, first and foremost, tomorrow is the 59th anniversary of the March on Washington. 59 years ago tomorrow, 250,000 people went to Washington to protest for jobs and justice. Most years, this organization joins Martin Luther King III and have a commemoration in Washington every 3 or 4 years. Last one we did was in 2020. And actually, my daughter and I was talking about it last night, but a lot of people, Senator Parker, don't realize we put 200,000 people, that picture up there, National Geographic, did it as the photo of the year. We put 200,000 people there, August 28, 2020. George Floyd's family, Breonna Taylor's family, all of them there, in the middle of a pandemic. Everybody told us, don't do it. You're gonna have a super spreader. And somehow we just kept going. We spent tens of thousands of dollars getting the temperature checks and checked everybody coming in. People lined up blocks because we was trying everything to make sure it didn't spread. Didn't have a spreader and had 200,000 people there while Donald Trump was president. See, a lot of people forget this, Reverend Cooper. When they talk about Biden, and I'm gonna get to that, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, all happened while Trump was president. Now, when they say to me, well, what is Biden doing? And I'm pushing to do more. Nobody be on it more than me. But first of all, what did Trump even say about George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, or Breonna Taylor? So, I mean, how do you all of a sudden get so militant on Biden and you had laryngitis for 4 years while Trump was in? He said nothing. In fact, when they marched through Charlottesville, talking about you will not replace me, Jews will not replace me, he said it was fine people on both sides. I ain't talking about George Wallace in the 60s, I'm talking about right now. And you got some blacks who call on radio, some call my show, defending someone that never defended you. Say it, preacher. The whole world saw this policeman put his knee on George Floyd's neck. Trump didn't say a word. Not one word. Now, we went to Washington and commemorated. We started in the late 90s, every 2 or 3 years. Martin and all of us, and Martin III will be on my show this evening, 5 o'clock on MSNBC with Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, Kevin Parker's favorite show. He leaves a barbecue to go watch my show every Saturday, 5 o'clock. Don't call him between 5 and 6. His assistant's here, she'll tell you, don't mess with him when Politics Nation's on. But a lot of us don't realize the environment that march occurred in. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today, Martin and I, is what is the state of the dream?
Say it.
Where are we 59 years later?
Come on now.
And what is the state of the dream?
Oh, yeah.
Now, one of the reasons that it is important is in 1963. Let me explain this to you. People didn't go to Washington to have a bus out. There was the call by A. Philip Randolph in the 30s and 40s to march on Washington. In 41, they were going to have a march on Washington. And President Franklin D. Roosevelt had a meeting with Randolph and said, if y'all call off the march, I will put an executive order out about segregation in the armed forces. Call it off. In the 50s, they had the 57 march. They called it a prayer pilgrimage in 1957. Then you got to 1963. It was because of the 55 Rosa Parks sitting on the front of the bus that led to the boycott that then ignited a lot of movements around the country. Now, what folks don't know, that's why I'm so happy about our huddle group, because you got to teach young people the history. If you don't know the history and you are disconnected, you will not continue progress.
Say it, Doc. Say it.
History is built on continuity.
Yes.
When you hear Kevin talk about he used to work for Union Carmel College, all of that is to glean knowledge. You can be the most talented person in the world. If you don't know what to do with your talent won't mean nothing.
Say it. Good job.
One of the tricks they do with us is they try to act like everybody ought to be brand new rather than a new manifestation of what traditions have worked in our community. Every major leader that we had came from a movement that taught them, and they recognized it. Dr. King used to talk about all the time Dr. Benjamin Mays and his daddy, Dr. Martin Luther King Sr. Malcolm X was mentored by Elijah Muhammad. Nobody don't come from nowhere. And anybody that act like they came from nowhere won't acknowledge it ain't gonna last, because you are not connected to nothing. I tell y'all that every week. Strength of a tree is its roots. I don't care how much they praise you. If you're not rooted in nothing, you won't last.
Say it, preacher.
Jesus. Reverend Cooper's talking about Jesus. God's son, those of us that believe in Jesus. He came and went and humbled himself to John the Baptist to be baptized. He didn't come and say, John the Baptist old school, I'm the new thing, I'm the Messiah.
Say it.
He went and bowed to John the Baptist and then went up on the mountain of transfiguration and conferred with Moses and Elijah, because he said, I did not come to overturn the law of Moses, I came to fulfill it.
Say it. Amen.
So why are there, I hope some preachers watching me around the country, why do you think if Jesus didn't have to acknowledge others, why you got to be the new thing? I got something for you nobody ever had. Well, I don't need it. We need to do this because I'm the new young thing. Well, if all you got to sell is young, you ain't got nothing to sell.
Say it, preacher.
Youth is not an achievement. It's a situation. Young just mean you was born last. You ain't done nothing to be young. But if you are wise, you will use your youth to learn from the old to know what to do with your youthful energy. I went this week. We honored Reverend Bishop Bernard Alexander. And it was the night before primary, and people had me going hither and thither, and I had to do radio shows. But I went because when I was a little boy in Washington Temple, he was the cop, just before he was a preacher. And he took care of Bishop Washington and helped to train a lot of our young people. I talked yesterday to a lady when we used to have junior church in Washington Temple. On Friday night, 7:30 to 9 was junior church. I was a junior pastor. I was about 11, 12, 13, all in there. And I'd preach every Friday night. We had a junior deacon board, junior trustee board, junior missionary. And Bishop Washington had structured it so we were learning leadership. So by me growing up a junior pastor, before I was a teenager, I knew how to deal with leadership and obligation. That's why everywhere I go, I talk about Bishop Washington and how people like Washington and Adam Clay Powell and Jesse Jackson affected me. Reverend Jackson was here the other week because I'm connected to something. And if you break your connection, you have no strength. Now, all of that to say, the March on Washington, which was a historic march, not because of the numbers, but because of the impact. It came as a result of a movement. As I was saying, Rosa Parks, 55. Well, Rosa Parks sitting in the front of the bus in 1955 was a year after Thurgood Marshall and them won the Supreme Court decision in 54. All this one continuity. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand is y'all got to be in time to be on time.
Say it.
54, Supreme Court decision. 55, Rosa Parks sits down in front of the bus. They boycott Montgomery for a year. That's why I keep telling you, all of you microwave activists, don't cook up a movement, just warm up, get out there, yell 3 slogans and gone. From 56, when they ended the boycott, students around the South started doing freedom rides to integrate or desegregate interstate traffic. And they were beaten. John Lewis was one of them. Many of them beaten for the right to sit where they wanted on a Greyhound bus. Inspired by Rosa Parks. Now, they were different manifestations in the same tradition. Dr. King never was a freedom rider. He didn't get on a bus. They were the young students. But they complemented what he did. Movements complement each other.
Say it.
They called in for a Civil Rights Act where they wanted federal law that made it against the law to discriminate in interstate travel.
Say it.
They said, if the Congress won't do it, we'll come to Washington and petition the Congress to put through a bill to make laws against interstate travel. That's what they called the March on Washington. A. Philip Randolph, Roy Wilkins, head of NAACP, Whitney Young, head of the Urban League, on and on. Dr. King, SCLC, which was the church-based civil rights group like this one. In the middle of organizing the march, in June of '63, they killed Medgar Evers in Mississippi. Medgar Evers had been in Mississippi trying to register blacks to vote. They were trying to not keep blacks from voting. He drove home one night, voter registration forms on his car seat, stepped out the car in his driveway. Man blew his brains out in his driveway. 3 kids inside, beautiful wife inside. He laid down in the driveway and died, fighting to give us the right to vote. It was that tragedy that helped bring even more numbers to Washington. That's why, Kevin, folks say, well, y'all got a lot of crowd because George Floyd got killed. The original march was knowing how you turn tragedy into strategy. Reason why a lot of y'all don't know how to deal with that is because you ain't never been in no movement.
Say it, son.
They came 250,000 to get a Civil Rights Act. They did not come to Washington just to hear speeches. They came to Washington to speak and mobilize and organize to get legislation. If you don't change legislation, you are not doing anything of significance. Toward the end of the afternoon, they put Dr. King up. They wanted him to be last because he was the preacher, better speaker, and mobilizer. Many of the people began to head to the buses because they had to get home. You got to remember now, 63. They came to Washington by bus. Many of them could not stop on the road and use a public bathroom because it was segregation all the way until they got past the Mason-Dixon line. They couldn't stop in a restaurant. They had greasy paper bags with greasy fried chicken that they had to ride and wait and eat it cold because they couldn't stop at a Howard Johnson on the road because blacks weren't allowed. They couldn't even stop and use a public toilet because they were not allowed to use the bathrooms that whites used. But they came anyhow. They came with segregated toilets, segregated restaurants, segregated everything. Because they wanted to what? Break the law of segregation. So they said, we got to get back to our buses and head back south. Somebody said, well, wait a minute, I know how to keep the crowd. And they put Mahalia Jackson up to sing. And she sang, I've been mute, and I've been scorned. And after her, Dr. King came. As Dr. King was talking about the legislation they wanted and talking about America had given blacks, he used the term Negro then, a check that had bounced in the Bank of Justice. And that we come to Washington to cash the check and to redeposit the check, which was reparations. Why are we at Lincoln Memorial? Because 100 years ago, in 1863, you promised, Mr. Lincoln, with the Emancipation Proclamation, that we'd be equal and free. I'm trying to give you all the historic part of it because of tomorrow. That's the reason the march wasn't at the Jefferson Memorial. It wasn't at the Washington Monument, because they didn't promise us nothing. But Lincoln promised. And that's why the march on Washington Day, y'all go to Lincoln Memorial, don't even ask yourself why we at Lincoln Memorial. You'll walk around a reflecting pole, reflecting nothing. In that movement, from Medgar Evers' blood to the sacrifice is where the March on Washington happened. And it began to move. John Kennedy was president. It began to move the Senate and the Congress for the '64 Civil Rights Act. But let me tell you something, you can't have one march and it's all over. Because a couple of months after the March on Washington is when they bombed that church in Birmingham and killed those 4 girls. See, a lot of y'all, that's why it's so important we train these young folk here. A lot of y'all think, well, wait a minute. We won the George Floyd case, ain't it all over? They had to march on Washington and had the bill going through Congress and kill those little girls. you're going to continue to face challenges, and if you're not in it for the long run, then you need to get out the way and let some long distance runners run this race. So we commemorate that tomorrow. But as I said tonight on the show, Martin III now and his wife Andrea Waters King going to talk about the state of the race. Right now, we have seen in the last several weeks, this Biden administration, they passed a climate and tax bill, which is good. But we want to make sure that the black community that has been disproportionately impacted gets a disproportionate amount of those climate change funds. The toxic waste dumps are majority in our community. That's right. That's right. That's why there is a higher rate of asthma among black kids than others. It's not genetic, it is environmental. That's right. That's right. And if you don't vote for people that will go in and confront that, then you will continue to raise children that has a higher percentage of asthma. And you run around with babies in your house talking about I don't vote, while your kids are choking on toxic air. Going to substandard schools, going to hospitals that don't have the personnel they use. And you run around bragging about how ignorant you are. If you're that stupid, don't tell nobody. At least keep it a secret. I told y'all the other week, everything you do is decided by people in office. Food you eat has to be approved by the Food and Drug Administration. Otherwise, you can't put it in the supermarket. I told them 2 weeks ago, Senator Parker, the clothes you wear, the apparel has to be approved to be sold. You sitting up with some approved underwear, talking about you don't vote. I'm being nice because we on radio and TV. But if I wasn't on radio and TV, I'd say the drawers you wear was approved by elected officials. So if you're going to have that much to say about me, I'm going to have something to say about who you going to be. We are today, one of the reasons why I'm so committed, Reverend W. Franklin Richardson, our chairman of the board here at NAN, but who also chairs the Conference of National Black Churches, on this fight against COVID and this fight about dealing with all of these COVID problems, is that now you got monkeypox. We are just 11 to 13% of the population. We are 27% of the people diagnosed with monkeypox. And only 10% of the people getting it. 10% of the people getting the vaccine. And unless you have something like the Conference of National Black Churches, black folk won't get the resources. And you run around talking about, I don't know about getting the vaccine, while everybody else is getting vaccinated. And by everybody else, they got polio here, monkeypox here, COVID here. And you run around not voting for people that will make sure you got health insurance to take care of your condition.
Say it, preacher.
We look this week, after much pressure from many places, Biden decided to finally do something about student debt. Now, right away the right wing comes out and criticizes about student debt. How you gonna just give people? I worked my way through. First of all, half of the folks talking. This Congresswoman Green, this guy in Florida, Gates, all of them had PPP loans that was forgiven by the government. If you believe in paying your debt, then pay back your PPP. Second of all, people talk about, I worked my way, others should be able to work their way. You should not want folk to have to suffer like you suffer. Thirdly, there is again a disproportionate. The $10,000 that they give it, $20,000 per household, is only a deposit when you deal with the racial breakdown. Right. I brought the number. Black folks have an average of $53,000 in student debt, where whites only have an average of $28,000. Say that again. The average black college student debt is $53,000. The average white, $28,000. Why? Because the average white has different economic status than us.
Say it, preacher.
So therefore, we need all the debt forgiveness we can get.
Yeah. Say it.
We need the 10,000, the 20,000, and we need Congress to do some more. Why? Because you cannot build black wealth when you have a debt there that affects your credit, that affects you going to buy property, that affects you building a business. I keep telling you, there is nothing applaudable about militant ignorance. That's a hashtag, Ashley. Militant ignorance. I ain't into politics. I want to free the land. I'm going to build a black Wall Street. You ain't going to build nothing if we do not have the political power to do it.
That's right. That's right.
Quit playing with our people. You can't build a business if you can't get a business zoning. Quit playing with people's emotions. Free the land while you paying rent. Let's talk like we got good sense. Respect our people to give them the truth. Our wealth has been crippled by student loans that affect our credit. Where we can't go to the banks and even get a mortgage for the house we live in. And you talk about Biden shouldn't forgive it, he should forgive that and more. You got folks that get all the way up in their 50s and 60s, still paying off their student loan. Some even much older than that, up there with Hardy's age. And they went to school in log cabins, but they still got student loans. You didn't think I was going to let you go today, did you? So we are up against a spirit of people that are just wicked. Let me tell you something. That's why Paul said in the Bible, we battle not against flesh and blood. It's wickedness in high places. It is wicked to strap people with loans that you know will cripple their ability to be self-sufficient. It's wicked. It's wicked for you to open up a university, call it Trump University, take folk money, don't educate anybody, but then you come out about student loans with your corrupt self. How can the founder of a corrupt Trump University talk about student loans other than wickedness? It's wicked to become the president of the United States and because you lose the election, you take classified, super classified, high classified information and bring it to your house like it is your property. What are you doing with all this classified stuff? Are you making deals? You got golf tournaments financed by the Saudis. Yes, I'm suspicious as to what Trump was doing. You got spies' names and other names in them documents. So what do you need them at your house for? Well, he didn't know what he had. He can't read classified. He can't see highly classified. And if anybody else had done that, they would be facing a court and jail. But you got people that are saying, even if he indicted, I'm voting for him, because it's wickedness in high places. You got to be wicked to see diseases all over the country, and you will decide which communities you're going to put the remedy to the disease. You got to be wicked to pull jobs out of a neighborhood so the kids have no job, no training, no programs, no recreation. Schools don't work. And then when they go on the street and turn on each other, you put guns in their hand. They can't afford nothing, but for somehow you can get a pistol and shoot people up in the community, and you call them savage when you took everything from them and then armed them to shoot each other. Nobody but wicked folk would do that. Then you pump music in their ear to make them act like savages. I tell them all the time, Reverend Cooper, Nebuchadnezzar used music because it makes you culturally accept degradation. And if they can make you comfortable with being degraded, then they can degrade you with no problem at all. A friend of mine called me last week and said, Reverend Al, so-and-so, hot artists in town, they'd like to meet you. You coming? No. Well, they want to talk to you. Well, we can meet in private. I ain't taking no photo. You ain't putting it on Instagram because you sitting up there calling people the N-word, the B-word. I'm not sitting around photographing with you, doing a selfie. You need to get your selfie together. We fought to be respected. We fought for our self-concept. Cooper said it today that we're all somebody. Jesse made that slogan, I am somebody. How do we go from that to this degrading of ourselves now? Last conversation I had with James Brown before he died, about 2 weeks before he died. He said, Reverend, whatever you do, explain to me how our song Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. Aretha sang Respect. Yeah. Marvin Gaye sang What's Going On. Yeah. And now y'all got black artists out there calling y'all niggas, hoes, and bees. Yeah. How did that happen? And we act like, well, y'all just too old. No, we just too dignified and too self-respectful. It got nothing to do with age. It's got to do with agenda. I remember when I first came out against the N-word, Reverend Parker, Senator Parker, I made you a reverend.
I'll take the promotion.
Some of the artists got mad at me, some of my friends, still friends. They're gonna have a meeting with me. We met at this record executive's house. If I call their names, all of you would know who they are. They're in their 50s now. They used to be the young artists. They're the old artists now. But now we got a problem with you coming out against the N-word and all of that. And I explained about dignity and self-respect. They said, yeah, but you understand, we just kick it the way we see it. I said, no, you don't. You kick some things you see. You don't go in no studio and call nobody else out their name. So let me get this right. If you call or use a derogatory term about the Irish, hate speech. You use a derogatory term about Italians, hate speech. You use a derogatory term about Jews, hate speech. You use a derogatory term about gays, hate speech. You call blacks niggas, free speech. Right. I mean, think about that. The only one you free to use a derogatory term is us. You can't be that stupid. They won't let you put a derogatory term in the brain of their children. But they'll let you change the psyche of our children. Because if a child thinks all they are is a nigger, or nothing but a hoe and a bee, they will grow up with no self-respect and no self-value because they've accepted that culturally. That's wickedness in high places. And they will give you every Grammy Award you want to beat your own people down. Give you a Grammy to degrade your mammy.
All right, preacher.
And you skinning and grin, just smile. We have got to fight like we never fought before.
Say it.
From political to cultural. That's why there's a black church-based organization. In the black church was the first institution we owned and operated in this country. We got out of slavery, we'd have nothing but our churches. But more than owning it, is that there was standards and a moral code, even if we violated them in our personal life, we knew we were violating something. But when you have no values and no standards, then your communities end up with cab drivers being killed for no reason. Because there's no values. And you're left reckless. And you've been invaded by wickedness. I was reading this morning, Reverend Cooper, 1 Samuel 30th chapter, where David had come back. And the Amalekites had come and invaded and taken captive his people. Even his wives. Bible said that they captured 2 of his wives. I'm not going to get into polygamy this week, so y'all relax. And they captured them, said they didn't kill them. They captured them. And David became outraged, angry, mad like we were about Amadou Diallo, about George Floyd, about Ahmaud Arbery. And he went down and prayed. First thing you got to do if you're going to fight these fights is you got to first put yourself in a spiritual set of mind. Because you can't fight wickedness unless you get the wickedness out of you. You can't fight wrong unless you got the right spirit. That's why I said put on the whole armor of God so we can withstand. You can't stand this by yourself. Don't act like you're strong enough by yourself. You got to have some spiritual power to go up against these people. They're going to call you names. They're going to write nasty stuff in the newspaper. But if you cover it by something else, they can shoot their best shot, but you can keep going anyhow. Bible said David prayed. And they went down and they saw this young boy. He said, who are you? Where are you from? Well, I'm an Egyptian. Well, what happened to you? Well, my master left me out here. I said, well, where are they? Well, they over there. He said, if you can show us where they are, we're going in there to get back our people, my wives, and others they captured. But they didn't run without a strategy. I want y'all to get this, I'll let you go. David said, we're going to go and get them at twilight. Why are you going at twilight? They don't think we coming at twilight. And twilight is dark out. Twilight, the sun hasn't risen. Twilight is before people have got up. I'm going to get them at twilight while they're sleeping. Because all of their strategies and all of their war plans don't matter when they sleep. I'm going to fight at twilight. That's why, Kevin Parker, I like to get up at twilight. I like to work out while y'all still sleeping because I'm trying to get all that toxic stuff out my head at twilight. And I'm telling you, twilight is coming. We can vote these people out. We can build back our communities. We can get these guns out. I'm ready to fight at twilight while they're sleeping, while they're resting, while they think they're in charge. There's a fight at twilight. Many of us are not prepared for the fight. We got a membership drive starting tomorrow at National Action Network. All over the country, people ought to go and join National Action Network if you're ready. But if you ain't ready to fight, if you ain't ready for a twilight fight, don't join this organization. This organization ain't for punks. This organization ain't for those that tarry ignorance, but those that's ready to fight them, ready to stand up unapologetically and say, yes, I believe in having the political power to take care of educating my children and to get the guns out my neighborhood and to medicate my community properly. Yes, I am not going to apologize for saying that I was born in the image of God, and I'm not born to be your nigga. And I'm not going to bow to nobody but God. If you're ready to do that, then join National Action Network. If you're too scared to do that, go join something else. I need some twilight fighters. Well, Reverend, do we have the numbers? Do we have the money? I don't know what we got. But I know if God be for me, it's more than the whole world against me. I serve a God that'll lock lions' jaws in the lion's den for Daniel. I serve a God that'll take heat out of the fire in the fiery furnace for Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. I serve a God that'll take Jesus off the cross and rise him on the third day. I don't need what you need. I don't need no AR-15. All I need is a slingshot, and I'll see you at the twilight. If God be for us, if God be for us, if God be for us, who can be against us? He promised never to leave me. He promised he wouldn't forsake me. He promised he'd make my enemies my footstool. He promised if I stand up, he'd hold me up. He promised he'd make a way out of no way. He promised he'd be food when I'm hungry. He promised he'd be water when I'm thirsty. He promised he'd be my rock, my sword and shield, my wheel in the middle of the wheel. I'm standing on his promises. I'm standing on his promises. I'm standing on his promises. Twilight, twilight. a degree in theology. I didn't stay at Brooklyn College long enough to get my BA. But God blessed me to preach all over the world. Because I learned in Washington Temple as a little boy to use what I got to get what I want. And I may not be as polished as some of the theologically trained preachers. And I may not be as theatrical as some of the performative preachers. But this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna shine it in Minnesota for George Floyd. I'm gonna shine it in Brunswick, Georgia for Ahmaud Arbery. Or I shined it in Bensonhurst for Yusef Hawkins. I shined it in Howard Beach for Michael Griffin. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Why? 'Cause Jesus gave it to me, and I'm gonna let it shine. Jesus gave it to me. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, Jesus gave it to me. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Yeah, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. One more time. One more time. One more time. I'm going to open the doors of the movement. We're starting a national membership drive tomorrow on the anniversary of the March on Washington, but you may be here this morning and not a member or have not renewed your membership to National Action Network. If you're here and have not joined or have not paid your dues this year, I want you to come forward. Now people talk about, well, I don't know if I renewed it now. You know your birthday every year. You know if you ain't paid your membership in a year that you are due. Hello. You that are listening on Radio Land or watching us on television, you can join right now on the phone by calling at 1-877-626-4657, 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. But if you're here, come on down to me and renew your membership or join this morning. Come on, everybody singing. Come on. Everybody sing. ready to go off the air, I want to remind everyone in radio land, television land, that we're starting our membership drive tomorrow on the anniversary of the March on Washington. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and join and be a part of the twilight fighting. It's twilight time. It's folks that want to get up when others are asleep and fight this fight. We're going to catch them sleeping. They think they got us pinned down, but we know when to strike and we know when to fight. That's why when Barack Obama as President of the United States spoke at our convention one year, he said, this is not the National Procrastination Network. He said it's the National Action Network. And that's right, I don't care how much philosophy you got. If you don't put some action behind it, ain't nothing gonna happen. And that's what we gotta do. When we couldn't get the Senate, the US Senate, Senator Parker to pass George Floyd bill, we kept the pressure on and got Biden to do an executive order on many of those things. And we're going to now fight to get a Senate where we can get the bill made law. People talk about, well, executive order ain't got a lot of power. I said, but it a hold till we get there. Don't forget the Emancipation Proclamation wasn't nothing but an executive order.
That's right. That's right.
That's why they had to get the 13th Amendment.
Right.
So we know what we do. We got Biden to move on that, on student debt. Everybody else, they just run around having meeting with the meetings. We having a meeting about what? We just having a meeting. Everybody ain't gonna be at the meeting. We going to so-and-so. Going to do what? Just going. No plan, no strategy, no thought out, nothing. That's why 31 years, we still here. Every Saturday for 31 years, National Action Network has not missed a Saturday. I ran president, everything else, we never missed a Saturday. Because if we convene every week, we ain't got to go get a call people, we gotta call people. And you got 200 people come on Saturday morning, but you got 50,000 listening on radio. I get the numbers. Another 75,000 on TV. So you fooling yourself thinking that's all we got. That's why when we call a March on Washington, 200,000 come. We had 1.2 million watch my television program last weekend on MSNBC. People be talking a lot of smack. That's why I tell them, don't argue with them, let them talk. We gonna do this, okay, let them do it. When we call, people know because we there all the time. I'm on radio every day. I do 3 hours every day. So I'm not coming to people to introduce myself, they know who I am. Because I'm there every day dealing with their problem. And when I got the TV contract, people told me, oh, he ain't gonna be at Saturday rally no more. I've been there every Saturday, you the one that miss it. Because I'm not here for a season. I'm here for a reason. Let me say before I raise our offering, I heard them talk about Mother Dixon and Mother Nixon, gonna be 102. And we, I want all of us to pray for her in an orderly way, work with the Political Action Committee to go and see her. Let's do that in order. I don't want to jam her up by everybody flooding over there, because some of y'all ain't got good sense to go over there and be arguing with the folk and all that. Don't go over there and disrupt where she is. Go there orderly with the Political Action Committee. All right, so Karen, our committee got this done. Secondly, I'm so glad I've been praying, and I'm very happy, excited to see our longtime member, Vancell, come on down. Vancell Mallory and Stan Mallory in the house. Come on, Vancell. Give her a hand, welcome her home. And we're so happy to see her and Stan. We miss their physical presence, but I know they've been listening every week. And Stan would text me and tell me how Vancille is doing, and I'm so happy to see her. When she first had a stroke, I went to the hospital to see her that morning. And she said, laying up there with a stroke, telling me what to preach about that Saturday at the rally. I said, huh? She said, Saturday, you do. So I know she's been listening and critiquing, but she didn't know I saw her coming back. I see everything moving in here. You know, I gotta watch all of that, because you know, Hardy can't see past the first row, but I can see all of it. All right, let's raise our offering. So glad to see y'all. They've been here, but before y'all thought it was all right to be here. All right, raise our offering. Want everybody to give to the best of their ability. Let me start. I need about 10 people that give $100 or more to come quickly. I need about 10 people. Anonymous, $100. Winston Gilchrist, $100. Brother Coswell, $100. The mayor of Queensbridge houses, Mayor Rodney Jones, $100. The Guardians, $100. Announce Winston. I announced it. Senator, State Senator Kevin Parker, this is his money, this ain't state money, $100. All right, I think I got my 10. Give me some 50s now, 50, 50. Vancille and Stan Mallory, $50. Brother Robert. Brother David, I'm sorry, $50. David, with his matching self. Every week, he got a new matching. Don Jones, $50. Brother Dawson, $50. Minister Carolyn, $50. Reverend Dr. Anonymous gave $50. 20s, 20s, 20s. Come on, 20s. All right, Reverend Dawson. Now everybody, whatever you have, $1, $5, $10. Parker with us, and Michael, I was telling Senator Parker last week, many of y'all remember I was telling folk I believe in nonviolence, but don't push me. And I was straightening Dominique out about something, and she got smart with me, so y'all see her arm this morning. Don't push me. She'll be out there slinging a couple of weeks, but I'm still the daddy, don't push me. Me and Marcus Al don't take no mess from Dominique. No, she's got her own procedure. I did not assault Dominique. I don't want y'all leaving here with that rumor. All right, let us, how many were born in August? All right, come on up. Let's wish the August birthdays a happy birthday. Come on. Happy birthday to you. Come on, August. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Our musical director is born in August. He turned, how was it, 60 or 40? All right. Well, you'll get there. Keep trying. You'll get to 60. All right. Come on, you give every week. You fanned it out. That's all right. Give them a hand. Happy birthday. Today's your birthday. All right. All right. All right. I want everybody, as you bring in, we had one new renewal to bring them up. I'm glad to see my sister beloved Malak Shabazz in the house. Malak comes by and supports us. She's the daughter of Dr. Betty Shabazz and Malcolm X. Her family gave so much to us. Anytime any of that family is in the house, they ought to be acknowledged. Not only for Malcolm, but for Dr. Betty. They both served our community. Dr. Betty. All right. And she will correct you if you leave Dr. Betty out. And she should. All right, the other is parking, is Kevin Parker. All right, I need a name. James Venable has come forward to renew his membership. Face the audience and give him a renewal applause. Kicking off our renewal membership drive. Give him a big hand. Give him a big hand. Reverend Ron Dorsey's coming to renew his membership. Give him a big hand. Give him a big hand. All right. All right. Let us all stand. Now, let me say this, and we're going to dismiss. I'm going to encourage you to fist bump and commune with one another. You can get some birthday cake. You come up and fist bump with me. We have, and I want this so there's no pressure on the staff and security unnecessarily. We have a process here. So if you have a problem, and I tell you to talk to crisis, if you do not want to talk to crisis, do not come here with a problem. I am not going to stop the line and meet with you. We have a process. Why do we have a process? One, if you met with me, I have to give it to the staff. You're not crazy enough to think I'm going to go and deal with everything, only one person. Second of all, is that we have been stung so much with people that set us up that I want you to work through the staff so I know you are who you say you are and are dealing with what you say. They send people in here with all kind of messages on front page of New York Post, oh, we did this, that. So I don't trust anybody insisting. To me, that is the first suspect of being an agent. So don't come up here with none of that agent stuff. No, I want to see you. You will see the door. I want to fist bump with you and let staff help you. Now, if staff has not helped you, you can write a note and get it to me. But we do not believe in being disrespecting our staff. You would not go anywhere else and disrespect process. Don't do that here. You would not do that anywhere else. You go and stand and act like, don't act like because we are a civil rights group that we gonna have you playing wolf tickets. So Hardy was telling me this week, somebody said, Reverend Sharpton can make so-and-so. I will therefore do nothing for you. Don't tell me what I can do. I owe you nothing. I'm gonna try to help you help yourself. But don't get crazy in here. I'm the craziest one in here. I'm not gonna talk about he can make the so-and-so. Okay, let him tell me that and see how much I do. I'm here because I want to be. I'm not gonna be Buffalo. And I understand we all got problems, but I didn't cause you a problem. So don't get an attitude with me. I will try to help solve your problem, but I didn't cause you a problem. And neither did the staff. So act like somebody here, oh, the folk that did it to you, you ain't went and done nothing to them. But you have an attitude with us. So I figure I clear that up. Because we can fist bump or we can fist, whatever way you want to do it. Amen. Sing grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now. Repeat after me, we're an African people, robbed of our name, our language, our families, our self-respect. But we shall rise, never to fall again. Up, you mighty race. We can accomplish what we will. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Fist bump with the one you next to. Fist bump with me before you leave.